Hello, Maxim. So, why do you want to make AI Weiwei's Turandot? Or sorry, I'm sure I'm butchered the pronunciation. How do we say this?
Weiwei, Turandot.
Thank you. Yes. Why did you want to make this?
Well, so yeah, I have to start very far away. Basically, well, I was working. I like already since 5 years. I was a filmmaker for the Rome Opera House before Ai Weiwei arrived in Rome. And after these 5 years, 5 or 6 years, um, well, this suddenly this thing came to my mind. In 1922, my great grandfather he became first violinist of the Rome Opera House. So every time I would go in front of the orchestra pit, this thing just made me I don't know, made me questions and is it just by chance that I'm there as a filmmaker 100 years later, or is it destiny? I don't know. It just made me think a lot, and then I knew that also I didn't want to stay there forever, and so I said to myself, okay, if I want to move on and doing other projects and everything, I would like to leave this place with something important for me, and I want to do a documentary. And so I started working, and I said, okay, but I don't want to do a documentary about the Rome Opera House, in general. I want to do a documentary about the people and the lives that are bringing on stage every day a different show, a different ballet or opera or concert. And so I started writing, I found the producers and everything, and then we said, okay, which could be the most interesting opera or ballet or everything production that we could use to do this documentary. And so we went through and we saw, okay, Ai Weiwei was coming to do Turandot. And we said, okay, this definitely won't be just a simple opera production. This will be something very special because, of course, he is an international artist, probably one of the greatest nowadays alive. And yeah, and also it was very particular that a Chinese artist would bring on stage Turandot, which is set in China. So we knew, okay, this here something will happen. Let's go for this, and let's ask Ai Weiwei if he agrees. And so we went for Ai Weiwei's Turandot.
I love it. That's a great story. Was there resistance to modernizing the opera in this manner and in general?
Oh no, well actually, like they often modernize operas production in general, and I mean sometimes heavier, sometimes less heavier, but the only thing is that probably with some operas, it's more difficult for the audience to accept a modernization because, of course, Turandot, La Traviata, or these very big opera productions, they are so popular that it's difficult to see them in a different set or with different concepts. But in general, especially nowadays, theaters they tend to modernize productions. And with the case of Ai Weiwei, of course, if you're calling an artist like Ai Weiwei, you have to give him, a blank page, and he has to do whatever he likes to do because, as I said before, it's not just an opera, but it's if you call someone like Ai Weiwei, it becomes a living artwork. So it's something different.
All right. Why don't you tell people a little bit more about Ai Weiwei so they have the context for him?
Yeah. So, well, Weiwei is probably, as I said before, the great one of the greatest artists, contemporary artists alive from China, and he's an exiled. He's a refugee because what happened? I think it was 2008. There was this terrible earthquake in Sichuan that basically in China that killed like almost 70,000 people.
Hmm.
And what's special about Ai Weiwei is that China would completely cover this story without he even giving justice or find who died and to do like a proper memorial of what happened. But instead they wanted to cover it because of course it would show how fragile the Chinese system is. And so Ai Weiwei himself, with other people that were helping him, he went there to search for the bodies, for the names, and he started like really to search to give um, yeah, a dignity to all the names and all the people that died. And because of this, Chinese government, of course, went really angry against him. And I think it was like in 2000 later, like a couple of years later, where basically he was kidnapped by the Chinese government and he disappeared for 81 days. So no one knew where he was or what was happening to him, except that during those days, all over the world, because of all his has done as an activist and also as an artist, there were like lots of movements all over the world that were manifesting to free Ai Weiwei. So like, and also museums like the Tate Modern, the New York. Well, I don't remember the famous museum.
MoMA
Yeah, the
Museum.
MoMA. Yes, exactly. The MoMA. Lots of big, really big museums and movements were created to make noise, to show that he's not alone, and also that China cannot do what they want, what they want to do. They need to that there is some dignity to the persons. And so basically, because of that, after 81 days, he got released. And after that, of course, he had to escape from China. And I think he never came back, but I'm not sure about that. But basically, yes, he has no home anymore. And I know now he's in Portugal. He's set in Portugal. But yeah, so he is a great artist, an activist, and first of all, he really fights in the front line. He's not just, talking and that's it. He got through many, many, many different things. He got threatened and he never stopped. And he truly believes that through art, you can really change someone else. And basically, that's what the documentary is it about.
Yeah. And tell people about his approach to the opera.
Yeah, so well, his opera. Whoever wants to see the actual opera is actually you can see it free. It's on. It's called Rai Play. Like it's an Italian platform. It's free, and then if you just go there and search for Ai Weiwei Turandot, it appears and you can watch it. But anyway, it's very modern, of course, and um, well, what we are trying to say through the documentary, we built the documentary around these three different layers that actually are going together. So we start with the production, so we see his creative process starting. Then we start to discover what is Turandot about, and Turandot it's about Caliph, who is a refugee, is an exiled, who tries to fight Turandot, who is an evil Chinese princess that kills everyone basically. And and of course, from there we immediately see the metaphor, the strong relationship between the story of Turandot and the life of Ai Weiwei, because he also tries to fight the Chinese government, and he is also a refugee. And so we see that, and then both has to face the challenge. So there is Caliph, the main protagonist of Turandot, that has to solve the three riddles to win Turandot, and Ai Weiwei that has to survive the period of prison. And and then we we added this layer, so that our production that at some point had to stop because of COVID. And with COVID, also us as artists were put in silent, because theater, cinemas, museums, everything that was all over around art concerts were the first one to shut down. So, and there is where our documentary changes, because it became not only about Ai Weiwei's process, but more about why do we need art? Why are we doing all this? And of course, once we as a production win COVID, and Ai Weiwei's wins China, because he managed to go to be free, and Caliph to solve the three riddles, everything completely changes, because all the priorities and all the weights are completely different. You have a different perception of reality once you have lost everything. When you came back and you have again one chance, everything is completely different. So all the artists that are there on stage, they um, mm, they can again recognize themselves, so they understand why really they are doing this. And basically Ai Weiwei, the artist, the opera, and Caliph, basically they all trying to give a message, and this message is a message of hope, of something of hope, of win against injustice, basically injustice against dictatorships, against totalitarianism, and all of these things. So also Turandot, it's very contemporary today, probably especially today. So that's the whole thing.
Oh yeah, that's a very good summary of everything. And I did really enjoy this documentary. How do you describe your approach to documentary filmmaking? Do you have certain underlying principles?
Well, so this is my first feature documentary, international feature documentary. I did other three documentaries here in Italy. Um, well, I think that the first very important thing is to prepare yourself very well. I mean, you really need to know what are you going to film, the world, because of course it's a documentary, so it's not scripted. You don't know when and how things will happen. So you need to know really well that world in order to be just a little bit ahead of the things that probably will happen. And for me, I was very lucky, because as I said, I was already working at the theater for 5, 6 years. So I knew very well how the productions are done in theaters, opera production, ballet productions, and so on. And also, plus my father, he was first ballet dancer of the Bolshoi Ballet. So I grew up basically in theater. So this helped me a lot. So that's basically the only rule I follow. You really need to prepare yourself really good to understand the world that you are going to film in order to know what exactly you want to film, and also what exactly you don't want to film. And yeah, and so you can just be a little bit ahead of the things happening, like for example the moment where we have the COVID, so where the theater shuts down completely. And that was, of course, no one was prepared, but I managed to get that moment because I could speak with the right people just some moments before, some days before, because there were some rumors around the theater. And I asked them, okay, this is what's happening in Italy. If I hope not, but if you're going to, to shut down the theater, please just tell me a few minutes before because I need to film that moment because it's a historical moment. It's in the documentary, the general director says the Rome Opera House has never been closed in 140 years. Never, not even during the Spanish flu, not even during First and Second World War. It never stopped, but it had to stop with COVID. So that thing, it's historical, and that's the only, yeah, that's how I approach the documentaries.
All right. Well, great. Thank you for telling me about that. How was your experience with this the premiere at Copenhagen Docks?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, festivals, it's the fun part, I think, because it's once I've been working on this project already like almost 8 years. So after almost 8 years, yeah, I started writing in 2018, I think, yes. And so once we shot everything, we got through pandemic, we got also through the Ukrainian war, because this is something I forgot, but we have the conductor who played the show. She is from Ukraine, and the Ukraine war started like 2 or 3 days before the premiere. So there was like a huge tension in those days, and also her, she didn't know if she would be able to perform or she had to go back to Ukraine. I mean, she had all her family there, so it was very difficult. And so we went all through these things, and then it took like almost a year to edit. And so finally we go through festival, and that's the fun part. And it was exceptional because the Danish audience is incredible. We had a standing ovation. Ai Weiwei was there. So, and this was the first time I met him again live after the opera. So it was fun. It was fun, and we had a really great reception with the documentary. Great, yeah.
That's great. And it's also coming here to Canada at the Hot Docs Festival. What are your thoughts about that? And will you be in Toronto?
Yes, yes, I will come. I will be together with my producers. So Christine Lamonte, Marta Zaccaron. Well, there is another producer, Andy Cohen, who won't be there. Yeah, but it will be great. I really look forward. It's one of the greatest festival documentaries in the world. So I'm really honored to be there. We are, I think, in the big ideas section. So we are having the premiere, if I'm not wrong, on the 25th. And in the 25th, in the Q&A, we will have also Michael Fabiano, who plays Calaf in Ai Weiwei's Turandot. So he will be there, and yeah, it will be fun. And I hope also people will like the documentary.
I bet they will, and I encourage people in Toronto to check it out. What is your favorite recent documentary?
My recent, that's a good question. I can say that I, well, I can tell you what are my favorite documentaries that inspired me to do this one. And first of all, I love Human Flow by Ai Weiwei because it's incredible and again Andy Cohen produced also that documentary and it's incredible. And another great documentary that really inspired me, it's sort of the Salt of Earth by Wim Wenders, that he's with Salgado, the photographer. Yeah, so this one, these two, they really inspired me, and because I think, and what I try to do also, because the Wim Wenders documentary, it starts with one message and then evolves, and you arrive at the end with a completely different message, and that's exactly what I try to do with my documentary. So we start, our first sentence is everything is art, everything is politics. And that's a quote by Ai Weiwei. So, of course, he's very political. Uh, and we end at the end with another quote by Ai Weiwei that he tells me during the interview, which art compete with reality and art will have the last words, which I think it's an evolution of the first quote. And yeah, so that's what I think.
I love it. All right. Well, then there's some good stuff for people to check out, some good recommendations. And I really enjoyed watching your documentary. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your time today. My final question is, what did you learn about yourself while making this documentary?
I think what I've learned is, I think you if you believe in something, you really have to never give up, never, because it's, I mean, after the pandemic, I didn't know we would continue with this documentary, with the project, and we had to go through so many things. Yeah, as I said, it took almost 8 years to make it. So I think that's the probably with this project, that's what I learned. So I had never to give up,
I love
and
it.
I always, yeah.
Very inspiring for people out there. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Michael.